Hello again everybody. This time in this video I want to show you how to use Net-SNMP applications. Why is this important? Well, it's pretty obvious. We network administrators like to keep monitoring of our network. It doesn't matter the size of the network, it doesn't matter the load of the network, but we want to know if something will go bad, if it will go wrong, of course. We want to know how is your network working fine. Net-SNMP is important because it's an application that lets you do some basic troubleshooting directly from a command line interface directly to your boxes. It doesn't matter the application that you are running. In my case, of course, if you have seen my other tutorials, I love Nagios because it's free and it's pretty cool. Of course, I have another video that explains that. But in this case, I want to show you how to use two very useful applications for Net-SNMP. One of them is the SNMP Walk, and the other one is SNMP Translate. How to use MIBs. Okay, just like any other videos that if you have seen on my channel, I always have a GNS3 lab. Okay, and what I have here is a Linux CentOS server. This Linux box running CentOS, and here I have my Nagios application. Okay, and this guy over here is a Cisco router, and I will monitor this Cisco router. Of course, I already configured all my Cisco router, all what I need. As you can see, all this configuration is pretty small. I already have all the interfaces set up, and as you can see, I have the SNMP server configured already. You can see here my community is Cisco. Most of the time we don't want to use something very easy to guess, let's say like that, and it's set like read only. I love to use read only. I don't like to use read write because I don't like to have other applications doing changes on my configuration, so I just configure read only. Also, it's very important, something that I am not doing here, just to show you very quickly. If you use the SNMP server in Cisco, community Cisco, here you can specify an access list. This is very important for you to do it, so you can limit the hosts that can pull information from your router. This is important especially if you are doing read-write access. Okay, I'm not saying it's not important for read-only, but it is even more important if you are doing read-write. And of course, you wanna see the IP address of my box 10.10.10.1. This is important because I want to show you how my Linux box, this little guy here, is connecting to my Cisco router. Then let's move to my Linux box. I have to log in first. Okay, and here is what I want to explain to you. Depending on your distribution on Linux, you have different locations for your MIBs. Okay, the MIBs are very important because it's easy to work with them and directly with OIDs, which are basically a lot of numbers. Depending of your vendor of the vendor that you are using, it might be Cisco, Juniper, Checkpoint, whatever. It may be Linux, Windows. You will have different ways to pull the information. In this case, for Cisco have a lot of tools on the web that lets you know what specifically you have to pull. Oh, this is my my Nagios application. As you can see, it's very simple what I'm monitoring right now. I'm just monitoring CPU interfaces, and basically I can monitor whatever I want. I have another video explaining what you can do with Nagios. But what I want to show you is that, for example, Cisco, it's had a lot of documentation regarding MIBs. You have this MIB locator, it's pretty cool. And here, for example, I was doing a quick search of CPU, and here is an FTP with a lot of MIBs. Okay, here in the locator, you can see that I did a query for the version of the software, the version I'm using in the router. This is the platform family 3725, and the feature set. Okay, and for example, I here just look for something very common, for example memory, as you can see, and this will open the MIB with all object definitions. Basically from here what you can do is take this file, this MIB, and download it directly to your MIB location. As you can see, I already have it here, and here you can see that I downloaded it a few minutes ago. Okay, this is very important. You have to download the MIBs to work easier, not to use the OIDs directly, because they are confusing. The first thing I want to show you is how to use the SNMP Walk. I already run some tests here. I want to explain you. So the SNMP Translate lets you give the tool MIB object definition. In this case, for example, I'm asking about Cisco memory pool use, and what this command do is look on the MIB and gives you the object ID of that object, right? The OID for that object. In this case, as you can see, I'm getting the OID. This is very useful if you want to know if your MIBs are working fine and if your box is translating the objects to the OIDs, which is basically what it's on the box, right? This works exactly with all. It's exactly the same for all objects, but what you really need here is the MIB previously downloaded. I run another test. For example, I ran a lot of commands. As you can see here, I'm doing another translation with the Cisco process MIB that I downloaded before. I am translating the CPU total 5 minutes. Notice that I'm not doing any connection here to the box yet. I'm just seeing if I am getting translations between the object, which is in this case CPM CPU total 5 minutes, and the object definition and the OID, which is working fine. If this is working fine, then we can move to the next command, SNMP Walk, and here is where I do the connection to the box. This is pretty useful when you are doing some troubleshooting. This is the most of the time this is the syntax I use. SNMP Walk -B to C, it means it's version 2, and plus C is my community, the community I'm using on the box. If you remember, I'm using Cisco. I forgot I'm not on ASA. SNMP. Here you can see I'm using Cisco. This is my community. This is the IP address of the box, and here I'm specifying the MIB. In this case, memory pool MIB, and this is the object I want to obtain. I can do basically the same with anything that I have on the MIB. Okay. For example, this is something that you want to monitor. As you can see on my Nagios box, let me show you again. I'm doing some monitor of the interfaces. Basically, one of these interfaces goes down, I will get a critical alarm here. So from the box, you can do a show SNMP. I don't remember exactly the command. Show SNMP MIB, I guess is interface if MIB, and you can get the interface index for SNMP. As you can see, for example, fast 0/0 has the index 3, and 0/1 has the index 4. That, as you can see, let me show you on my Nagios configuration. These are the indexes that I'm using for the monitoring. How can you test this? This is the configuration of Nagios. I'm just showing you how you can use the MIBs for configuring the monitoring application. For example, here if I do an SNMP walk to the box and I specify this, if operator status is defined in RFC, so I don't have to specify the MIB. It's pretty common. Here you can see I have all the definitions for the interface that I have. I'm getting the information. Basically, the box is telling to my monitoring box. The router is telling to my monitoring box that interfaces are up. It's pretty cool, right? And of course, I can ask specifically for an interface. For example, if operator status 3. This is another example. If you want to use SNMP Walk, we can specify the MIB Cisco process MIB, and I can ask this guy specifically for the CPU. You can see I'm getting from the box that the CPU in the last 5 minutes is 2%. It should be similar that I have here. Don't put attention to the warning. This is a threshold. I configure a warning after 1%. But as you can see, I have match between what I'm getting from the application and the SNMP Walk directly from the tool, from the SNMP Walk tool. And it works exactly the same with other MIBs. I run this one, for example. This is another example. In this case, I'm not using the object. I am using the OID directly, and what I can have here is a set of objects defined under this MIB. As you can see, there are a lot of information I can pull from the tool. Right, and sometimes it really depends on your experience. If you have already worked with Cisco, for example, in this case, this box has two options to monitor the memory. You can monitor the processor, the memory of the processor, and you can monitor the memory of the input/output. Right, you have to monitor both if you are doing a good monitoring. And in this case, you can see that I am getting the memory used. That one, for example, is for a processor. I'm getting the memory free. Then, if you have a tool like Nagios, you can set up your application with the proper thresholds for in the configuration. Basically, this is something very useful that you want to know how to use these two applications. Sometimes you have problems with an application, with, for example, with Nagios, that you are not getting the information from the box, and you want to go something very basic. You want to go to the box that you have, where you have Nagios installed or any other application, and you want to try to pull the information directly from the box. I mean, without using the application. So this is something you really want to learn. If you have any question, please post it on the comments. I will be more than happy that answer the questions. And thank you very much for watching, and please join my channel.